met in Trani, and then when our schools, I told you, the boys went to one school, the girls to another, and then he decided to come and visit some of his girlfriends, old girlfriends from the school in Italy, and passed me by like, piece of wood. Didn't remember me. I remembered him though. He was a handsome young man. Bushy black hair. In London, it wasn't until a few years later, 2 years later, that we met in London at that party. He gave me the address. Of course, he lost it.
I lost it. I went from house to house till I found her, but I decided that the more than 1 week I will not go through it. And I started at first at the beginning of the street, and then I came to the last one. I said to myself, this is the last one.
Then we got reunited. I guess it was meant to be. And about a month later, we got married.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, he was alone, no family in London. I was alone, no family in London, because my sister Natasha was already in Argentina. So we were like two orphans, found each other. And the best part is, remember, we were married at Caxton Hall, which is where the whole royal family gets married first before they can go and get married in their church or whatever. Caxton Hall is the...
Very famous.
Yeah. We got married there.
You can be married there unless you are aristocrat or...
Aristocrat.
Yes. Or... What was the other?
You lived right there.
Oh, you lived there.
Well,
and we lived there.
But the best part was that at the end of the ceremony you had to pay.
Oh,
and you didn't have change. Well, you did have more than enough.
Yeah.
Because you gave him and you expected to get 10 pounds back. And he said, thank you, sir.
Oh.
Shook his hand and kept all the money. And we walked out of there with Peggy and her husband without a penny in our pocket. So he went back to, what we did from Caxton Hall, we started looking for a place to live. And at that time in London, all you could do is get a room. You couldn't get an apartment. And we found a place. He went to his old room, I went to my old room with a suitcase. We met again at the place where we found the room. And that's how we started, in one little room. And then when I got pregnant, the people who rented us the room didn't want any babies. We wanted children. So the first thing I did was rent to the Queen.
Dog or some other animal.
Yeah, but not babies.
You could not have a baby.
I wrote to the Queen. She replied on her stationery, and the guy who rented us the room got a little shaky. All she wrote is that she will intervene and make sure that we get on the list for public housing. Public housing is not the same as it is here. It's just rent-controlled housing, but we knew it would take forever to get to that. So in the meantime, what I did was Aunt Joy came to visit us in London, my foster mother. And she's the one who saw the way we live, and she decided that she'll finance us for a better apartment. In London, you have to have key money. I mean, payola, basically, to get an apartment.
Are allowed to.
Yeah, but what I did, she loaned us $500. There was a lot of money in the
And you know
40s.
the happy part of it.
The happy part of it was that I got dressed up, gloves and hat, and went to see a man who owned many, many houses in London. And what I was looking for is an apartment. But I went to him to buy a house and pretended that I'm rich.
No money.
No money. I mean, as poor as could be. But I went to buy a house, and he said, "Why would you want to buy a house?" So I told him we can't find a place to live. So we decided to buy a house, and he said, "Well, in that case," he said, "I have something better for you. I will have an apartment ready, a half of an apartment ready, in about 2 weeks. No key money, but you'll have to pay for renovating the apartment, which is being renovated now. You covered the cost, that's all." "Oh, of course, no problem." I had $500 promised, right?
And at that time in London, it was almost impossible.
Impossible to get an apartment.
Yeah.
But anyway, he told me not exactly where it was, but approximately. So we went out looking for a place that's being renovated. Of course, we didn't find it. But he got in touch with me, and the rich woman, and what we paid him was peanuts, literally peanuts.
And everything was
The only thing that was on the one floor.
Mhm.
There were 4 rooms, kitchen, bathroom, and we only had 2 rooms, use of the kitchen and bathroom, and the other 2 rooms were 2 old ladies. And he said, they're very old, one is very sick. All I need
And both
is a
of them
promise from you that when they pass, you take over the whole floor. No problem. Why? It was rent controlled.
He could not.
He couldn't
Take
raise
more
the
or
rent.
less.
Yeah, he could take less, but he could
Less,
take more.
you're right.
So we made a commitment that we would do it, and we finally got the whole floor. You couldn't come to the States unless you had a sponsor who made sure that for
At
the
that
first
time.
5 years you didn't get welfare. He sent a Christmas card to his aunt in
My hand.
yeah, it is. And the reply came, an affidavit. She was sponsoring him.
Also, the army would do the same, but I felt
The army
such a-
didn't.
Huh?
The army didn't,
Yes,
basically.
no.
But we didn't need the army. We had a sponsor. When the reply was immediate, he can't come to England because we now have a daughter. I now have a daughter and a wife. So we wrote to her, that's snail mail, and she sent us back an affidavit sponsoring all of us. So with that, we went to the American embassy
So,
to apply for a visa. Huge waiting room with lots and lots of people. And Chris was a tiny baby, really. But she was very,
4 years old? 4?
no,
5?
she was not.
No?
Talking. She was about 2.5.
Oh, okay. Could be.
The ambassador walked out and lots of people waiting. And she ran up to him and said, "Hi." And
Yes.
he said, "Hi."
And this was it.
This was
You
it.
come with me.
And he said, "You want to come in?" And she said, "Yes." And he said, "Is your mom here? Is your dad here?" She said, "Yes."
And
Came, grabbed our hands, walked us in. The other people who were there ahead of us
not good.
were not too happy. But his office was wonderful. We sat at one desk, he put her at another desk. Each drawer was filled with candy. And in England at that time, candy was rationed. so kids really didn't get too much. And he said, whatever you want to take out of there, take it. We had a very brief interview. He wanted to know what we plan to do in America. And our answer was very simple: go to school, finish our education.
And
he,
we want to find out when we can do it. And
well, we asked how long will it take, and he said, if I were you, I'd go and make reservations on a steamship or flight if you want to fly. And if your chest x-rays come clean, you know, because a lot of people after the war had TB. If your chest x-rays come clean, you can leave whenever you want to. You'll have the visas. It's all because of her.
yes, really. He was amazed, you know, with her.
No, he was, she was just a little sweetheart, a little doll, which she still is. Then we booked on the Queen Elizabeth.
And danced on Queen Elizabeth.
Oh.
We stopped at one end and ended up at
One
the
step and we were the Queen, not like today. I mean, we hit a storm and we were floating. Anyway, to make a long story short,
Oh, what funny. We came to
New York.
New York.
landed in
And
New York.
landed in New York. And we are outside waiting.
Under D.
Okay, go ahead.
Under D. Everyone has to be under their
Yeah.
last name. And people are unloading, I mean, crates and crates and crates. And we're still standing with a baby and a suitcase and a backpack. That's all we had when we came here. And finally, you know, and Auntie Joy was
So-
waiting for us. I could see her. And she was an author, very famous author, B.J. Shute. Anyway, she was waiting for us, becoming anxious. It was cold. And finally, I walked up to one of the customs people, and I said, "How long is
How
it
long
before
do we have to wait?
Yeah, before we're released?" He said, "Well, we're waiting for your crates and luggage." And we said, "That's it? Oh my God! Welcome to America!" And he let us go.
And another thing, for me, I was very happy that I can go to university at almost any time I want to.
Yeah, well, that's
And
one thing.
it
that-
wasn't so in England.
No, the ambassador told us that if you're going to Detroit area, you have
I
several
could
universities.
I could get it, but I didn't have any money to go during the day. And
So
here,
Papa worked
Oh,
and
Yeah.
went to school
At
to
night.
Wayne. He got done, then I went back to Wayne.
yes.
That's how we got our education.